We're back right here on the San Francisco 49ers Report, emanating live from Super Bowl Radio Row, Las Vegas, Mandalay Bay. We've had an excellent week. Appreciate everybody for tuning into our coverage. And on today's show, some major Chiefs injury news going into Sunday's Super Bowl 58 matchup. We have an interview with Deebo Samuel and also some betting insight from one of the best betting analysts in media. That is Kelly in Vegas, joining us a little bit later on as well. Let's begin with the latest on the Chiefs injury front. It is official. All-Pro guard Joe Thuney is going to be out, and he's going to miss Super Bowl 58. This is a massive blow for this Chiefs offense, which all year throughout the regular season really struggled, has now started to find its footing throughout the playoffs, but because of this torn pec, it's going to keep Joe Thuney out of the game. And why him being out matters for Super Bowl 58 and for the San Francisco 49ers defense. First of all, he's an all-pro left guard, one of the best at his position, was so good for so long with the New England Patriots, and now stellar player with Kansas City, and they really rely on him in the run game and through the air to be a good pass protector for Patrick Mahomes. This gives San Francisco an opportunity in this ball game to win at the line of scrimmage, and San Francisco has to bring that level of physicality, that level of swagger. And if they do, I think that the Chiefs' offensive line might struggle with the physicality and the overall talent of the Niners' defensive line if San Francisco plays its A game. It's going to be really important for the Niners to stop the run. Javon Hargrave, more of a pass-rushing defensive tackle. He's going to have to hold up against that Chiefs rushing attack. And Isaiah Pacheco and Eric Armstead is also going to have to bring it. He's been hampered, limited for a long time since Week 13 with those knee and foot injuries, but got ramped up returning to action against the Packers in the divisional round, and then I thought we saw him playing like his normal dominant self in the NFC Championship game against the Detroit Lions. It's time to shine for Eric Armstead and Javon Hargrave. They know this. We've spoken with both of these players throughout this week. They understand the importance of having to push the pocket at defensive tackle, collapse the pocket, and make things muddy for quarterback Patrick Mahomes. As for Jerrick McKinnon, that's the other bit that we want to get to on the Chiefs' injury front. He is questionable to play in this game. Despite having missed a lot of time, still third on the Kansas City Chiefs in receiving touchdowns. It's kind of an indictment on the lack of weapons that the Chiefs have, and that's why San Francisco can win this game partially, because this Chiefs offense, probably the worst that they have at the weapon spots under Patrick Mahomes as well as Andy Reid. But Jerrick McKinnon, as many Niner fans know, even though he didn't play a lot for San Francisco, a dual threat back who can make things happen out of the backfield. With that, we ask you to get your game predictions into the comment section right now. San Francisco, Kansas City. Who you got going with the Niners to win this game 26-23? Next up on the show, let's talk with Deebo Samuel. Had an opportunity to catch up with him yesterday at the Niners Media Hotel, where a few hours earlier at about 6 a.m., somebody intentionally, in my opinion, pulled the fire alarm, causing all the Niner players to have to get up out of their beds before they had an 8 o'clock get-together as a team. Man, you had the practice field situation at UNLV, people pulling the fire alarm. Deebo Samuel was like, man, this really continues to happen. I didn't ask Deebo about that. I asked him this. When did Deebo realize that he's such a unique football player who can impact the game in a variety of ways as a wide receiver, running back, kick returner, because it's not every day you come across a player who's as versatile and dynamic as number 19, Deebo Samuel?
I'm curious about your development as a football player. I like to call you one of one because you're so unique with the ball in your hands, but the diversity to your route tree and how you can just make plays happen. Going back to like your growth as a football player, understanding that you had running back skills but wide receiver skills. When did you kind of realize that you could be a dual threat, versatile type of player?
I mean, I think when I played, I think when I was like 12, I played quarterback, running back, receiver, DB. You know, when you're a kid, like you just doing stuff to see. And I was like pretty good at all of them. And so when I was growing up, and they was like, you play receiver, you gonna play running back. I'm like, I don't really care which one it is. go back to high school, my coach Mark Hodge, like, I remember one year I had like 1,000 rushing and 1,000 receiving. It's just like which one do I want to play? And it was just like, it really didn't matter.
Is that why you've been comfortable with jet sweeps, bubble screens, handoffs, kickoffs, just doing it all?
I'm comfortable with whatever that rock get in their hand, it's in my hand.
Thank you, man.
Such a unique player with the size, speed, being elusive, having some wiggle, but being able to just run defenders over. He deserves a big game against Kansas City, and if he shows up, shows out, also like the Niners' chances offensively because of all the different ways that Kyle Shanahan can use Deebo. Whoa, truly one of one. Kelly in Vegas coming up here in just a moment, but first, the sponsor for today's San Francisco 49ers report is Game Time. If you're looking for last-minute tickets, you're guaranteed to get in the door. Lowest price guaranteed with Game Time. What's cool about this app? I'm so busy, especially in Las Vegas. Tonight, decided to stay an extra day. You can call me a sicko or you can call me a real one for putting in that work. But producer Jeremy Jugs and I, Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer, we're looking at those tickets potentially. And if we do end up pulling the trigger, we're going to do it with Game Time. First-time users get $20 off using the code NinersChat. But if you want to join me and come to Las Vegas and go to the big game, I'm not going to actually go, but if you want to come kick it in Las Vegas, please let me know. But if you're looking to go to the big game between San Francisco and Kansas City at Allegiant Stadium, in my opinion, after being there, seeing that stadium, I think it's the best stadium in the National Football League, certainly the coolest looking and one of the nicest, no doubt. You can get $100 off with this big game promo thanks to Game Time. Use that code Vegas100. And as I alluded to a little bit earlier, you don't just have to use the Game Time app for tickets to sporting events. You can go to concerts, comedy shows, theater events, Blue Man Group. They're huge here in Las Vegas. You can get tickets to something like that as well. Niners Chat, $20 off. And then if you use the code Vegas100, that's $100 off, specifically the big game here in Las Vegas. Let's continue to keep it moving here on today's show. And I want to do a little bit of a betting preview for all of you who are like me, who are betting men and women. San Francisco, Kansas City, Niners going to be rocking the road white jerseys. Kansas City in the home red jerseys. And this game set to kick off 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be going live at least 2 hours before the game for another watch party right here on the Niners Report. And you take a look at the betting odds on your screen to the left. San Francisco, 2-point favorites now. The opening line was Niners -1, but now Kansas City is getting 2, and the Niners giving 2 to the Chiefs. So that line has gone up a little bit after it was really holding firm for a long time with San Francisco -1. So the Niners, 2-point favorites, and the over-under pretty low. And that's why I went 26-23 San Francisco. I think this could be a heavy defensive matchup. And just wanted to rack my brain and dig into some of my betting insight and knowledge and what I'm kind of looking out for going into this game on Sunday. Here's some of my betting thoughts. Both the Niners and the Chiefs are very, very experienced teams, and that helps both of these squads on the big stage. San Francisco's been to 4 NFC Championship games over the last 5 years, and the Chiefs have been to 4 Super Bowls over the last 5 years. So a lot of high-level experience for both organizations. Betting against Patrick Mahomes is very tough. Basically, that's today's betting against Tom Brady. I'm curious to see how Kyle Shanahan, with some of his lapses in big games, and how Brock Purdy, with his lack of big game experience, fare in this game against the Chiefs. Andy Reid, with an extra week of rest, is why a lot of the money is coming in on that Chiefs side. He's so elite. And speaking of elite, that's what Patrick Mahomes is in the NFL playoffs and all the time. His last 6 playoff games, Patrick Mahomes is completing 70% of his passes, and he's been flawless, nearly perfect, pretty much perfect. 11 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. Now, I did have questions about this line because the Niners were -1 throughout much of this week. Now it's up to Niners -2. But a lot of the money is coming in on Kansas City. So I thought, okay, if the Niners win, the sports books win, which here in Las Vegas, that's huge. So I asked Kelly in Vegas about that, and here's her fantastic betting insight right here on the Niners Report.
So we're here with Kelly in Vegas, and I've been looking at this line all week. San Francisco -1, San Francisco -1.5, but all the money is coming in on Kansas City. So if San Francisco wins, that means that the sportsbook wins. What do you make of this line this week? It's a little bit fishy to me.
So I'm going to keep it as basic as humanly possible so that I don't get lost in the weeds too much. It's not quite that black and white, right?
Okay.
So you have money and you have tickets. There are a significant number of just everyday bettors on Kansas City. There are some sharp people on Kansas City. There are some big bets money-wise on the 49ers. A lot of the books don't talk about this, but they use their futures liabilities, meaning in August, if you placed a 10-1 wager on San Francisco to win the Super Bowl or 7-1 on the Chiefs, whatever that looks like. Now here we are in February. Those also kind of go into play with what the book means, right? I saw BetMGM this morning said if the game landed 1, for example, 49ers win the game by 1, Chiefs cover, 49ers win, they would get crushed. I've seen other books, I think it was maybe DraftKings, I don't quite be quoted on that, but I think it was DraftKings that said, hey, we actually are rooting for the Chiefs. I've seen Superbook that I do a lot of work with here in Vegas, they're rooting for the Niners, right? So each book has kind of got a different thing. I think we throw all of that out the window and actually look at the game itself. I think the line is spot on. I would say that they are baiting people at 2.5 to bet Kansas City. Come on in, guys. Because nobody should be betting the Niners at 2.5. If you like the Niners, bet them on the money line. You can find that -130 around town. That's my best piece of advice as far as that side goes. If you like the Chiefs, you should absolutely be taking the 2.5.
I like San Francisco's roster better, but obviously the Chiefs have the better quarterback. I know you took San Francisco in the NFC Championship game to beat Detroit. Who do you like in Super Bowl 58?
Yeah, I'm on the Niners. I laid -125 earlier in the week, and the betting syndicates were kind of out there early. I saw it, and I'm like, if I like the Niners even a little bit, I have to get ahead of it, right? Because you want to get the best of the numbers. So I joined. I have to have way more on prop bets than I am going to be on the side. This is a coin flip type game. You mentioned Patrick Mahomes being the better quarterback. Of course he is. But outside of Travis Kelce, he does not have reliable weapons. A lot of people are expecting a big game from Pacheco. I'd like to see the Niners defense be able to shut that down. We're going to find out. But I think the biggest thing that we can take away from the Baltimore Chiefs game, because I was on the Ravens, I had them as a 20-1 ticket to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, no.
And I did not hedge. That was bad advice. But I will say this. What did the Ravens not do? They abandoned the run. You have Lamar Jackson. You have Gus Edwards. In the first 30 seconds of the game, Gus Edwards, 14-yard run. We basically didn't see him the rest of the game.
Right.
What I'm hoping is the Niners realize the Chiefs, one Achilles heel, if you will, on defense, right? Because for the first time in a long time, we've seen them have a very solid defense. You can run against them. 114 yards a game they're giving up on the ground. Run the football, whether it's Brock Purdy, whether it's Christian McCaffrey, and that's actually how I see the game plan going. So I like the under as well. I think it's going to be a defensive type game. This reminds me eerily of Super Bowl versus the Bucks. Same kind of line movement. Sharp guys are on the Bucks, square guys are on the Chiefs. Now that's not the case as far as the market goes, but that same line shift is indicating to me that it's going to be a tighter defensive battle.
Hey, if you like the Niners to win by a field goal like me, that 2-point line doesn't even matter. San Francisco -2. I like San Francisco to cover that line, win by a field goal. I also like what Kelly had to say about some prop bets. Not only do you get good value there, but just for the pure form of entertainment, prop bets for the Super Bowl, always very, very fun to just make the game day experience a little bit more entertaining. Appreciate everybody who tuned in all throughout the week from Las Vegas here, Super Bowl Radio Row. Our coverage is going to continue up until game time. Super Bowl 58 coming up on Sunday. Make sure you give me a follow on X at Chase_Senior. Follow on Instagram at Chase_Senior. If you're in Vegas, I went sicko mode. Decided to extend the stay. I'm leaving Saturday now. Reach out to me. Hopefully we can link up.